Welcome to another segment of Change Your Life and Influence the World. Today's a topic that is near and dear to my heart just because it's something I'm walking out right now, but it's called How Do You Do Hard Things? In our lives, especially as children of God or people who serve God, Philippians 4:7 says, "And the peace of God, which surpasses all understanding, will guard your hearts and minds in Christ Jesus." So that sounds good. And I was like, oh, that's so sweet. Until you actually have to walk something out that you don't understand. And then you have to really figure out where's your mind and where's your heart and how do you guard it. For me, this has just been a journey I've been on of God make me usable, but let me walk in honor and integrity. And sometimes it seems like those two things or all those things just don't align. It's hard for us to think about how our lives, which are our own, are all about us, but it's not all about us all at the same time. When we walk out in honor and integrity, in the Christian circles, we call it seed time and harvest. I've also heard it called the law of attraction, but it's what do you attract to yourself? By actions and by your speech, you attract things within the atmosphere. So sometimes we call it choices, but all of those have impact within our life. So what are you attracting to yourself? I always like to say too, if everyone behaved the way you do, what kind of world would we have? Usually we handle things the way that we've been shown. It is very hard to learn how to respond differently, learn how to think differently. That's why few do it. I could only do it personally by the power of God and Him teaching me how to think beyond of what I knew and what I know. If you want different results in your life, you have to think and respond differently. And so my story is I had to learn. I had to learn how to think differently. I had to learn how to speak differently. I had to learn how not to be negative. I had to learn how to walk in integrity, not just in front of people, but also behind closed doors, aka venting is very dangerous. So you always want to make sure that if you want different results, then you have to think and respond differently. I'm responsible for me and my actions. I'm not responsible for the actions of others. I'm responsible for how I react and respond to others, but not what they do back to me, which is hard. We call it maturity, we call it wisdom, we call it growing up, but it's just flat out hard. Life is hard. And to respond to people who are hurting you or causing you pain or causing difficulty in your life is to respond in a way that where you can walk away from the situation going, I handled it the best that I could. There's really nothing I could have done better. But there's also, when people are involved, we can say the right thing, we can have the right tone, but what they filter and what they hear can be totally different just depending on where they're at in their lives. So I always leave room for apologizing for that 0.001% that I may be wrong about something. But I'm not responsible for how other people behave. I am responsible for how I react and how I behave and how I talk. I know who God calls me. I know who God is. And it doesn't matter how you grew up. It doesn't matter your walk with Jesus right now. I am who I am because of the way that I was raised. I made choices based on the way that I was raised. Good, bad, ugly, indifferent, it doesn't matter. I made choices in my life. I used my parents' example and the things I liked, I gleaned from them. The things that I didn't like, I chose new ways to do things. And so I am who I am because of the way I was raised. I do not let the first 18 years of my life dictate what the rest of my life will be like. I will not be held prisoner for the rest of my life because of the beginning of my life. I have chosen to say, I am who I am because of the way that I was raised and the choices that I have made. There are just so many times in life that things happen to us and we want to throw in the towel, we want to walk away. It's so much easier not to have to face it or deal with it. But that's not facing things head on. Eventually, you're going to keep circling back around to the same thing over and over again. So what I challenge you to do today is to do hard things. face hard things. I'm not talking about putting yourself in dangerous situations, but what I am talking about is don't run, don't quit, don't give up. Face the hard things in front of you, respond the best way you know how, learn and grow through the situation, and you will change yourself as you influence the world.